Hmm. Hello, and thank you for joining us for this virtual Q&A with Lanny Zipoy, director, and Jason Biggs, who plays Phil Waterhouse in the film that just screened, The Subject. Lanny and Jason, welcome, and thanks for taking the time to join us today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah. So I'll start off with some questions, and people out there in virtual cyberland, if you have any questions, please do type them there at the side of the, I believe it's at the side of the film. So Lanny, why was it important for you to make this film?
So many reasons. When I read Chisa Hutchinson's script, it felt like a gut punch, but also just a story that felt so real. It rang true. And even when I would tell people about the film that I wanted to make, they would always ask, is this a documentary? And the story resonated with me. I think it unpacks a lot of issues that we're dealing with, even more so maybe now at the forefront here in America. But when I read it a few years ago, I felt like we have been grappling with them, whether it's white privilege, or even if it just boils down to us as artists, like how do we take care of one another? And so I just really wanted to spend some time with that. And also I thought the characters, Phil, that Jason plays, Leslie, Ingenue, Jess, Annabelle, I just thought there was some really great relationships in there, and what a dream it would be to work on a film and direct one that had those great characters in it.
Right. So Jason, I'm sure everybody recognizes you as Jim Levinstein in the American Pie franchise. Larry Bloom, one of my favorite binge watching series, Orange is the New Black. And early on, you've done theater, Conversations with My Father, opposite Judd Hirsch, and Woody Allen cast you as Jason, or cast you, Jason, and anything else. You've been a pretty busy guy.
You know, when you group it and say it all in a row like that, you know, it gives the impression that I've worked very consistently. Of course, in my head, I'm going to all the sort of, you know, all the years in between those projects.
Right.
No, but you know, I've been very lucky. I've been working a really long time, and have you know, had some wonderful opportunities. But
right.
You know,
I skipped quite a few years there, but
what's that?
I skipped quite a few years there to take a
Yeah.
Q&A to go through all of it. Jason, congratulations on the Best Actor Award here at the festival. One of many awards you've gotten over the course of your career. So congratulations on that.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So I'm incredibly flattered and honored. Thank you.
Yeah. So I understand you're an avid snowboarder and mountain biker.
You know,
maybe not lately, but
yeah, not a whole lot. not a whole lot lately. Oh my gosh, of course this is happening. Say, I need some privacy. Okay, good job, Tanner. I love you. Just wondering I was wondering how long it would take. Yeah, not a whole lot these days. And you know, when I lived in Los Angeles, where, you know, I lived there for quite a few years, I was certainly more active in the outdoors and did a lot of mountain biking. But I still snowboard. It's great because now the kids are getting into skiing and going to the mountain.
Yeah, that's a great age to start in that.
Yeah.
Where did you where do you go snowboarding at?
Oh boy, Colorado. I've been to Breckenridge. It's incredible.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah, really everywhere. You know, the last few years we've done a lot of travel to Germany and Austria. My wife speaks German. My kids now speak German. I do not speak any German, so that's always a fun experience. But we go there a lot, and we especially love going in the winter because it's just stunning, and
Right.
And it's the skiing there is incredible. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So I mean, this festival is obviously loaded with ski movies and other kinds of sports adventure movies. We have one in the festival. It's Born from Junk, and it traces the outlaw roots of mountain biking back to its raw beginnings, which happened in Crested Butte, Colorado.
Wow. Okay. All right. I need to see that.
Yeah, yeah. Hop
You
on
should
and
throw me a link there, all right, Steve?
we'll do it. Yeah, yeah. It's in one of the shorts.
Categories?
Yeah, shorts
Right.
block.
Cool.
So Lanny, this is your first feature as a director. I imagine the jumping out of the other roles that you played or done in, in film. Was that quite a leap for you, or what made you do that?
Oh, great question. It didn't feel like a leap because I think you're always learning when you're on a film set. And I had produced some films. I had worked with Ben Barenholtz, who had produced and helped shepherd a lot of iconic films and filmmakers like David Lynch, the Coen brothers, Darren Aronofsky, a lot of their films. And at 80, he wanted to direct his first feature film. And
Oh,
I got to, yeah, and I got to line produce and help on that. And that actually, I think, in many ways, jump started this. It sort of reawakened a dream that I had. And I thought, I don't want to be 80 when I do that. Not that there's anything wrong with it. Do it at 80, do it whenever you can. But if I can do it before then, I should try. And having been on set with other people and watched directors, it's a great learning tool,
right.
really, because you see how they talk to actors, how they work, what they see as important. And there were things that I thought would work for me and things that I thought, oh, I couldn't pull that off in a million years. And so, yeah, so then I was like, I'm going to go for it and do this. It did feel like a leap, but when you have such a great script and you have such great actors come to it, and also the crew, who deserve a huge shout out because everybody was very dedicated to this project and brought their best work. So it was really about surrounding myself with people that I could collaborate with and be very creative with. And I think I did pretty well on that end.
Yeah, we think you did a beautiful job.
Thank you.
So Jason, what attracted you to the project?
Same thing as with every project, money.
Okay.
um, you know, I read the script and I love Lanny's term, gut punch. That's so true. I had a real visceral reaction to it. I thought it was incredibly entertaining. I mean, I feel like tonally, it's a very unique and a sort of hybrid of different films in a way, and the sort of the thriller aspect of it hooked me in, and and then as the movie sort of gets going, and Anjanu's character, and I knew that Anjanu was cast at the time, so that was also I was like, oh yeah, Anjanu, she's no joke.
Mhm. Right.
But I there was a lot of things for me, so yeah, I read the script, loved it, thought it was great story, very interesting, compelling, raised a lot of questions, and I wanted to do something that has something to say or has questions to ask. And, I don't get to do that so often. And, I've done a lot of comedy. And the drama that I've done has been, a little, it's a lot of it's further back in my past, just because of the trajectory of my career, and the success of American Pie, of course, sort of afforded me a certain sort of direction in the business. But, so I've always kind of have an eye open for doing something different. And this role of Phil was just, to be honest, I was afraid.
Really?
I'm not, I knew that I could do it, but I was afraid of, the journey to get there. And so when I met Lanny, I loved her and thought, first of all, she had such, she knew exactly what she wanted with the movie. And I just felt like I could trust her. I felt like she could get me to that place that I've sort of been afraid to go to, in terms of my vulnerabilities as an actor. You know, comedy, I get to hide behind it. You know, I mean, my goal always is to bring some sort of reality and vulnerability to a role, even the comedic ones. But I can get away with it with not bringing so much. I can just kind of skirt, you know.
Right.
And I felt like I was, you know, when this came up two years ago now, I was at a place in my life where I finally felt like I could go to places that I wouldn't have known how to go to in the past. And so the timing of it was just sort of perfect for me personally. It just felt like the right sort of challenge at the right time in my life.
Okay.
I felt like Lanny was the person I could trust to, you know, to take on that challenge with.
Yeah, I was going to say your roles, I mean, typically it seems like the bulk of them have been in comedy.
Yeah.
Has any other character you've portrayed in any films, theater, TV, put you through the emotional range that this did? I think that was one of the, I talked to Lanny at the first of the week, and I think that was one of our first bits of conversation, was how the range of emotions in that was just unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what scared me. You know, I'm just, part of it is because I don't have the practice. I'm not, you know, but I also didn't quite have the tools, not just as an actor, but as a person. I think those go hand in hand. I think, you know, I, up to the point of doing this project, was still, you know, I didn't have all of the means to sort of get to some of these places emotionally. And, you know,
Right.
for whatever reason, the parallels to my life and where I was emotionally, you know, I've certainly done, you know, dramatic parts, but I feel like I've relied more on my skills as an actor, you know.
Okay.
You know, as opposed to allowing myself to really sort of peel back the layers of the onion and you know, really step into the emotional you know, place of the character. This was really the first time for me.
Right.
And
Well,
it's a scary place to be. It's not something, again, it's not something I do that often. I mean, I got to sort of flirt with it on projects recently. You know, Orange is the New Black, I got to flirt with it. But again, I still was able to rely on some of my, you know, tried and true comedic tools, you know. So when I would go to the places, I still knew that I could, you know, I had an escape route, if you will.
okay.
Similarly, I did a play, you know, the last play that I did, the Heidi Chronicles, this great play, and the amazing role of Scoot, same thing. And that director also, you know, challenged me to go and sort of really inhabit this emotional place. But again, I still got to be funny. I still got to, there was, you know, but that was also, those were leading up to this, you know. For me, I think those helped prepare me for, all right, I'm gonna do this movie where the only way I think it'll really work. And again, sorry, I feel like this is a crazy long answer.
That's fine. That's fine.
Thinking about, you know, there is still a charm to Phil, and I, as you know, Jason still gets to use some of that stuff that I bring to other characters, you know. And there's moments that are, I think, kind of funny, and but this is different than any of those other things. So yeah.
So imagine having Ingenue and Lanny in the room with you. That was probably helped you along through that process.
Well,
I can't imagine you guys went through very many takes of that.
You know, first of all, the first part of your question, I couldn't have done it without them.
All right.
That's the first part. And then, you know, Lanny, I mean, I feel like, you know, we spent a good, like, that whole, you know, third act was like one full week, right? It
was 4 days. 4 days.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, we did it chronologically, which really helped, which is we had the luxury of, because it was one contained set. So
right.
We filmed it in order, which was great. So literally over the course of the 4 days, you know, I got to work myself up to,
Right.
you know, Ingenue and I both, you know, so it felt very organic in that sense. It's not like we were, you know, kind of jumping all around. Yeah, so it was, and it was a very intimate sort of group, a small house, small room. It was all in this one room, and so there was a real heightened sense of intimacy and yeah, yeah. It was just it was the sort of it was the perfect sort of conditions,
Right.
to, you know, and the crew was great, but they also were very, you know, it's like they weren't there, you know. It sort of felt like I was sort of doing a play and there happens to be an audience out there, but really I'm just working with the actors, you know.
Right.
You don't get that on a lot of film sets, you know, especially not brightly lit comedies, you know, like the ones I'm used to doing, you know.
Well, thank you for that answer. It's very insightful.
Of course.
Lanny, can you tell me about the cast, which included Ingenue, who played Leslie Barnes, and Annabelle Acosta played Jessie Rivera, and how that came together? I think we talked about this briefly on the phone, how your casting director, Destiny Lilly, really helped you out there.
Yeah, Destiny Lilly, I mean, such a huge part of the film. You know, essentially we put together a list of names and whatnot and sort of said, who do we really want? And we got everybody that we really want. And I attribute that to Chisa's great script. You know, we wanted Jason for Phil, and he said yes. We wanted Ingenue. And, you know, we were, to be honest, initially told that she was shooting something else and not available, and said, can you go back and find out? And they did. And we squeezed those 4 days into her schedule. And then, you know, with Annabelle, also, I got on the phone with her. She was in LA. We talked. She said, I'm Jess Rivas. That's who I am as a person, and hit it off. But, you know, it was really that everybody responded to the script and that's the reason they wanted to do it. And when they came together, it just felt like magic. It was everybody that I hoped for as actors, but also as people. As Jason described, it was a very intimate set. Everybody was there to work. Everybody supported one another. And these are really special people. I think it should be pointed out that I'm a first-time director. I'm a female director. And we know that a lot of times people don't work with female directors, and it's very difficult to work with a first-time director. And this is a very emotional film that's, I call it kind of operatic. And the actors were asked to do a lot and to put their trust in me. You know, it would be really different if Jason had been asked, and it's, you know, Martin Scorsese saying, come and do this like really operatic dramatic role. But it's really different when he just had to put his trust in me based on a meeting at a tea shop in the West Village. Right. And that he did that, and that Ingenue did that, that Annabelle did that. It was, you know, the script was definitely there, but there are so many ways that even a good script can go wrong. We know that. We all know that. So I'm really grateful, and that these actors took a chance in that way, and then that they got to work together because their work together was greater than the sum of the parts. Like it really was like a souffle that rises really high.
Yeah, I think I'd mentioned to you when we talked previously about Niles Bullock. And just, I mean, that his scenes were especially touching, I think,
yeah,
for me, as well as, you know, that final third act.
Yeah, Niall is fantastic. He came in and auditioned, and he's wonderful. And if you want some joy in your life, follow him on Instagram, nb.talented. He is really lovely. I mean, he, like Jason, has been acting since he was very, very little. He was in musicals, extremely talented, comes from an artistic family. His mom's a singer, his dad's a musician, just lovely. And he is, I know, going to blow up because he's really, really special.
Yeah, he really was. So the theme of the film, I heard Jason mention that you guys started this project 2 years ago. So the theme of the film couldn't have been more relevant than it is today. I mean, there's no way you could have foreseen that, but it really is relevant to what's happening, currently in our
Yeah.
society.
Yeah, Chisa actually wrote this film 10 years ago, which is unbelievable. So it's had a relevance for far too long, like let's just
Right.
face it. But that
Right.
it's coming out, it feels like it's coming out at the exact right time with something that you can't plan. Like it's just not plannable. And for that, I'm grateful because I do think that we need conversations right now. And I think the film opens that up because part of that to me is also because Jason was cast as Phil. Jason has a real likability that he brings to the character and just brings to life. I mean, whenever we would shoot on the streets of New York, everybody wanted to come up and meet Jason because they feel like they have a personal relationship with him and that he's going to be likable and approachable, and he is, and he's wonderful. But bringing that to this character who's very complex was very necessary because I think it brings the viewer in instead of pushing the viewer out and making the viewer just judge Phil. They start to think, well, have I ever acted like this? What have I done? And
Right.
I think that's really important.
Right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, knowing that it was written 10 years ago, that unfortunately we've been kind of blind to that, everything that's been going on. And recently it's just really come to light, which is a
Yeah,
great thing.
it is.
So, Jason, do you prefer films or live theater?
It's a good question. And it's I give the same pause before my answer every time I get asked it. I feel like it's a tough one. I for me there is something that will never compare to the being on stage and performing in a beautiful old theater
Mhm.
with people there who get it and are there to engage from afar, and being able to give an uninterrupted performance from beginning to end. And you know I do love theater, but I also film sets are also its own sort of fun. Like I'm still, after 37 years or doing this, I'm still like a little kid and giddy when I'm on a film set. It's just so cool. I'm constantly, and I would actually even say more now than ever. There was not that I ever took it for granted, but there were maybe times where it just, felt a little more like a job, I guess. Um, but never, but honestly, I'm incredibly lucky. When you show up on a film set and you go, wow, we're here to like make something cool.
Right.
It's just I'm just very lucky. I'm very lucky that I get to do it. So I don't know. I vacillate. I don't know. I will say this: when you get to do films like this one, where you feel like with a play, you get to rehearse for a while and you get to really like get in there. Ideally, you get in there and you're really sort of finding the nuance of a character. With a lot of other films, you don't have the time for that. But I
Right.
feel like with this, we were in particularly with the conversations I was able to have with Lanny, we got to do that. And so this is a film set that is up there with a great theater experience in that sense. So
Okay. Right.
yeah, but I will say real quick, because it's not a short enough answer for you. um, or long enough rather. I do get sad thinking about theater right now. I do. It's definitely something I've thought a bit about. I live in New York, and it's not in Midtown much, but I was there the other day, and it's just like, my gosh, and it'll come back, of course, but I certainly have a lot of friends in the theater world, and everyone's struggling. It's really hard,
Yeah.
but also just the idea, the fact that it's such an energy, and especially a town like New York, theater district. It's like God, it's really just, and knowing what's going on behind those doors and that there's this energy and this audience and this whole thing,
Right.
it's just been like taken away.
Yeah.
It's a bummer. It's a bummer. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's that way for quite a few people.
Mm-hmm.
So Lanny, what would your advice be to get more women in director roles?
And do it.
Just
Don't
do
wait. Don't hesitate. Like if you have an idea, do it. Today, I watched some of the high school films, which I encourage everybody here to watch that block. And one of them was a personal film that an 18-year-old made in her house. It's really moving. It's touching. That one is only a minute long, but it's perfect. It's really perfect. And she felt that actually having the time gave her the chance, the opportunity to choose the shots that she wanted and to really massage the story, which was great. But I think you just do it. I think the other thing is reach out and network. If there's somebody in this audience that wants to reach out to me, do so. I'm on Instagram at Lanstress, Lanstress. I'm happy to chat with anybody. We're all in this together. And if there are more people out there telling stories, it means that there are more stories out there. And I think that that's exciting. And I want to personally support it. And there are also lots of other groups. I belong to women filmmaking groups like the Filmmakers. Seek that out, and because we can be our best resource.
Right. So, is that a COVID beard, Jason, or are you preparing for another role?
No, I wish. It's actually round 2 of the COVID beard. Yeah, I had one going, and then had like a day of work, which I was very grateful for. Beard came off, and now it's back to this again.
Right. It's so easy to get up in the morning and not think about shaving.
Sure is. Sure is.
It was an amazing script. This is from Beth. What's next for you, Lanny, and you, Jason?
I am currently working on a horror film, which I did not expect to say.
Oh, wow.
And was just location scouting last week. I really like the tension in it. It's kind of old school horror in many ways and could probably be shot socially distanced. I was originally going to do a docudrama with my aunt and my mom about dancers in their 70s and 80s. And it was going to follow my aunt who lost her dance partner, AKA her husband. And so she tries to find a new one after 60 years. It was going to be sort of poignant and beautiful and artsy. But right now, obviously, I can't shoot indoor dancing movie with 70 and 80-year-olds. So horror it is.
Nice, nice. Yeah. Not enough of those films.
Exactly.
You know, just a little piece of history. Lon Chaney, I'm sure you guys have heard that name before. He was born in Colorado Springs. And his parents started a deaf and blind school in Colorado Springs years ago. We have a theater here in Colorado Springs attached to the city auditorium called the Lon Chaney Theater. So that's a useless piece of trivia, I'm sure, but
no, I love it.
I always thought that was very interesting. So are you I'm sure you're looking for a theatrical release, right?
Well, for the subject, yes. Yeah. We would love some sort of distribution. Our goal is to have distribution, but also to have talkbacks and conversations with groups of people, because we found that most people, when they watch the film, want to talk about it and talk about these issues. And so we're also looking to partner with some nonprofit organizations that could help us in hosting those conversations. We're in discussions, but we'll see what manifests.
Right. Well, that's great. So you've won, could you talk again? Prior to coming live here, we were talking about the awards that you've gotten with the film throughout the run of it through the festival circuit. Could you give us an update?
Let's see if I can remember.
Again?
You know, we're still pretty young in our festival history. I think this is our 7th festival or something like that. And as you said, Jason won Best Actor here. He last night won Best Actor at Loudon Arts Film Festival, which is fantastic. He also won it at San Antonio Film Festival, so very proud of him.
Nice.
The film is won for Best of Fest, so that's pretty exciting in and of itself. Ingenue has also won a few Best Actress awards. I've won a couple of Best Director, but for us, you know, like all of these awards are great and we're so happy that everybody's responding to it. We just want even more people to see it if possible.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's excellent news. We're happy for you. Any more questions over here?
So proud of you, Lanny.
Thank you. I'm proud of all of us, Jason. Definitely was a team effort.
I mean, it probably, I don't know, when you started the project, COVID wasn't an issue, but I can't imagine any film would. Obviously, you want theatrical people in theaters and seats watching, your film and all that. So kudos to you for going ahead and kind of letting it out and letting us take a look at it.
Yeah, I think initially there was a lot of hesitation among filmmakers about the digital sphere and especially about how it was going to affect distribution and whatnot. And I completely understand that.
Sure.
But I think being in New York and being so hard hit early on within the COVID pandemic, I didn't see how we were going to come back as quickly as some other people. Maybe I'm not as much of an optimist, but I thought that it was going to be a little bit longer. And then honestly, when George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, when their murders were broadcast across the country and when they happened, it just felt we need our film to be out there to talk about these conversations and to get us talking about these issues. And also sometimes I can be a risk taker, and I just felt like the world might change a little bit in terms of distribution, and that was my hope. And now I'm seeing that so many festivals, even the largest ones, some of them have gone online. So I'm happy that we embrace that and thrilled that we're here at BREC.
Yeah, well, we're happy you did that too. So here's another question from our audience. Who would you like to work with that you have not had the chance to work with yet? Jason, you want to take that one? You've worked with, I was impressed. I hadn't realized that until I started doing some research that you had done a Woody Allen film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was certainly, that was pretty awesome. I grew up a fan of his movies, so
oh yeah, absolutely.
That for me was definitely a pretty big moment. It's as exciting as it is though to be able to work with someone like him. I think I was 24 or something when I did 25. So in some respects, I have a different appreciation for working with that kind of filmmaker now, like looking back. But as excited as I get to potentially work or to work with really big filmmakers, I also get really excited to work with new voices and people who are, like Lanny, making their first film and an amazing one at that, that are so incredibly excited to represent a project and to bring it to life with the ideal cast and to really make it collaborative. And it's exciting, it was like, it was a really, I love that space. That's a great space to be in. She was incredibly confident. It's not like, I've worked with some, first time filmmakers or sort of, neophyte filmmakers that are, just a little timid, still finding their ground. I mean, Lanny came in. I mean, she's obviously got tons of experience in other aspects of the business. So it's not like, she came in blind, but you just don't know necessarily what you're going to get. And she was just like, she came in, she knew what she wanted, and she knew how to talk to the actors in a way that inspired confidence, but was, yeah, it was like gentle. I think about I think about Woody actually, and you know, I always tell a story about how he gave notes to me. I mean, he either gave no notes at all, which was, you know, which meant he liked it, or you know, he would say, "Oh, that was terrible. That was a terrible time." You know, that was just not good. He one told me, one time we were doing this scene all day long, and it wasn't quite right for him. And finally, the last take of well, one of the last takes of the day, he said, "You know, look, that was good. We can put that in the movie. We can put that take in the movie. I'm afraid, however, when your parents are sitting next to you in the theater at the premiere, right when this scene comes on, they're going to fall asleep. So we can do another one, or we can go with that." And I was like, I think maybe let's do another one. Doesn't quite sugarcoat. I wasn't.
There was only one right answer to that, right?
Yeah, there was only one right answer. But no, but it's tricky to talk to actors, and like finding that balance of, you know, you want to get what you want out of the performance, but at the same time, you know, you have to know how to get your actor there. And so Lanny was just awesome. But yeah, sorry, this is like a brilliant non-answer. I think I'm really just avoiding saying who I would want to work with, because I don't know.
And that's fine.
Yeah, the usual subjects. I mean, you know, I'm
Right.
a huge P.T. Anderson fan. I love the Coen brothers. Kind of came close with the Coen brothers once. But you know, the list is long, but again, I'm just as excited working with a first-time filmmaker who's got some great material and a voice, you know.
Yeah, we had a P.T. Anderson world premiere here a couple years ago. Water Lily Jaguar, that had Mara Savino in it, and some other really great actors. But yeah, P.T. Anderson, definitely.
Yep.
You know,
How about you?
I think the hard part with that question is, for me, I think there's so many people I would love to work with, but it would depend on the project, because I'm very much like the right person for the right project. So I'm going to sort of defer and say that really my dream is to work with the Mets. I'm a huge baseball fan. I have a bunch of, and if anybody from the Mets is listening, I have a really some really top-notch ideas on things that I can create for you. So that would be right there. I mean, I'll bring the whole package and the fandom. So like if I'm
Lanny,
yes.
Lanny, I told you that I worked with Gary Carter, right?
No. How did we ever forget? Oh my God.
I don't know how we didn't discuss this. So it must have been in 80. Oh, you know what? It was in 87, because it was right after they won it. And okay, I was an extra, but it was a Wheaties commercial, the Gary Carter Wheaties commercial, and he was the sweetest.
That's what everybody says.
The best. Because also that same year I did a Nolan Ryan commercial, and it was a different experience.
That's amazing, and I can't believe we've never discussed this.
I know, I can't believe I never told you that. But anyway, I'm just saying, I've worked with the Mets.
You have. Mm-hmm. That's my dream right there.
Oh, wow.
So.
Yeah, so here's a comment from the audience. Thanks for pushing the boundaries and creating a conversation. And an additional question is, this is from Janice, our executive director, who I invited to join me on this Q&A, but she has obviously got a ton of work.
Mm-hmm.
The ethics and moral basis of this film, is any piece of this story true for you as a filmmaker, actor, or just an intriguing story in thread and media theory?
I would say that I saw it play out. I worked on a very gentle documentary many years ago, and there was a moment where the director wanted to make fun of the character, and the way that they wanted to shape the story was just to make us laugh at the main people. And I didn't understand. It felt very mean-spirited and not in the spirit of what these people, who they are, what they do. Luckily, it was through a music cue, and I knew the composer very well, and he refused to give them the composition to the director if that music cue remained. But it just really was a small example of how when you have the power, when you are telling a story, that you can control the narrative so much, and you can make something that is, in that case, something very sweet, seem kind of crazy. And that was unfortunate. And that's just one instance where it made me think about the dilemma in this movie.
Oh, nice, nice. So this is kind of like, who would you like to work with question. What have been your favorite projects over the course of your careers? Jason?
My gosh. Yeah, that's another tough one. I will obviously always have a fondness and deep attachment to the American Pie films, not just as a sort of being, sort of people's impression of it or my connection to it in the sense of, what people see, but in terms of my experience with it and how I grew up with the movies and what they did for me professionally, personally, etc. And they were just some of the most fun times I've ever had.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah,
great group of people and just and exciting. It was just the particular, the first movie. It was just, when you kind of know you have something,
right.
Yeah, it was just like it was just an interesting time in all of our lives. I love doing theater. I love doing theater. So all of my sort of theater experiences have been sort of highs, and not just because we're on here discussing the subject, but and not to sound trite, but it really, this film for me represented a sort of awakening for me personally, in terms of what I think I can do. I always sort of felt like I had a very good sense of what I could and could not do. And I always thought that what I could do was more than what people had seen, but I also thought that my limitations were a little bit more rigid, and this film, really sort of changed my impression on that personally. It gave me some confidence, that last scene with Ingenue, I was sort of dreading, and I was like, fuck, Lanny's gonna see that you miscast, she was telling me from the beginning that I was her choice, and now she's gonna regret it.
God.
And it just it was just a great experience, and for me to realize that I could go to these places. I think, I just felt like I was a little too afraid before. So yeah.
Well, thank you for that. So one more question here, and then we're going to have to wrap it up. Lonnie and Jason, both of you can answer this. What is the one thing you want the audience to walk away from this film with?
I think there's a lot, but the one thing would be to share it and have a conversation with the issues that strike you. Today, somebody revealed to me that her grandfather saw the film and felt like he was going to make different choices in his life based on seeing it. And I think he's in his 80s. And so I think that that's the power and the impact it can have, is that we can make different choices, and quite possibly Phil would have made different choices if he had really been a little bit more present and had thought about things.
Right. Awesome. Yeah.
That's a great answer, Laney. I mean, yeah, for me, from the moment I read the script, I thought, boy, this has something to say, and I can see this film engaging people in talking about things that they might otherwise have been uncomfortable talking about. And boy, talk about timing right now, you know.
Right. Exactly.
So yeah, I'm just excited that it's now a part of the continuation of this conversation in a very real way. And you know, Lanny's goals with it, taking it to students especially, I think is a really, it's like, okay, this can be impactful, even if one person, you know,
Right.
either modifies their behavior or just asks the questions. It's like, oh, that's pretty cool. I don't usually do those kinds of movies, so so I feel very privileged to be associated with something like
Right.
that.
Well, well, thank you for that. It's been a privilege for me to be able to do this Q&A with you two. Thank you so much for submitting, Lanny. Awesome film. Obviously, acting, Jason. What a great job.
Real quick, I just want to ask, how big is the Best Actor award? Because I just want to make sure that I have like room.
You'll have to get another shelf.
Okay. Cool. Okay, great. It's very and just to be clear, it is very shiny, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks you guys. Like I said, it's been awesome talking to you two, and I'm sure our audience enjoyed the film and enjoyed this. Of course, it's going to be playing virtually until October 3rd, I believe, and you can also, they're recording this Q&A, and you can also watch that. So again, thank you so much. Good luck to you guys, and take care. Be safe.
Thank you, Steve. Bye, Jason.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah.
Annie.
Bye.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was going to say bye and thank you to everybody.
You can say bye to me.
Bye, Steve. I was like, good job. That was great. Thank you.
Yeah, that was a ton of fun.
Good.
Really nice people.
Very nice people.
Okay,